And welcome back to Let's Play Towns. I was about to say Dwarf Fortress because that's what I was about to go on about. Um, Last episode I said that I would definitely like something like iron walls, just because having a bloody iron wall around your town is pretty amazing, even though it would probably rust rather quickly. But it would sort out a lot of problems, and that's what I admire about Dwarf Fortress so much. You can just surround yourself with a bloody steel wall if you so desire. Even though I don't know if it's still possible, I still haven't played the latest releases with climbing and everything in. Um, I'm still planning to, but I know that it will soak up so much of my spare time that I'm kind of afraid to do it. Because I will have exams soonish, and I know that Dwarf Fortress and exams are things that don't mix very well. Because you only have so much time a day, and I know what kinda has to come first, sadly. So, yeah, I didn't get to it. I just always have something coming up. Like there was the last exam, then there was this laboratory thing that I still have, then there will be another. I need to do an internship for my course. It's a requirement for passing or for graduating, so I need to do that. I'm trying to get this done in the summer holidays, which are after the exams, so should be around the mid of July, I think, or end of July. That's the last exams if memory serves. I still need to check that. And so there's that. Which is coming up. I need to work for I think 8 weeks with 40 hours a week, so 40 work hours a week, which is pretty much a full job. So I hope I get something that is actually paid, because there are plenty of internships that are not paid, but that expect you to do a full-time job. And that's something I would definitely try to avoid, because if I do a full-time job, I want to live off that. And I think it is extremely unsocial to offer to say, okay, yeah, you can work for us, but we won't pay you for that. You will do the same stuff everybody does, but we won't pay you. You will you will work for 8 hours a day, but we won't give you any money for that. And that's I think that's something that you should not be allowed to do. That seems illegal to me, and it's something that actually certain certain corporations, certain employees are known to exploit, because they say, okay, we only hire internships. We only allow internships for like 3 months, and we fire those people, and then we'll rehire them as interns again, or we hire new interns. So they basically get all the work done, but they don't have to pay a single thing, or have to pay very, very, very little for that. And it's not how I would imagine a working and somewhat fair system. And that's just me being socially critical. But it's one of the things that you definitely get in touch with when you study, when you graduate, when you get to, or when your first job approaches. Like when you know, okay, it's about time I get a job, and when you have to worry about how am I going to pay all the stuff, like how am I going to pay my rent, how am I going to pay my bills, how am I going to pay my whatever car or what have you. One of the beautiful things about being an adult is that you can actually buy whatever the hell you want to, even though you can't necessarily afford it, which is another weird thing. But modern banks are very, very generous when it comes to that. They will give you a loan, but it's kind of hard to gauge how much that will cost you in the long run. And I would strongly advise everybody to avoid doing that. So if you're watching this, just try to avoid getting into debt at any given time. While you study, it's okay. It's normal in some countries. It's not here. You don't have to pay outrageous fees to or outrageous enrollment fees, at least not everywhere. Saxony is actually a place where you can study fairly cheaply, and since it's also the place I've been growing up in, it was only natural for me to study there. But there are places like Munich, it's ridiculously expensive. You have to pay, well, the rent is absurdly high in Munich, and there are also some universities that have extremely high fees. So there are very, very large enrollment fees, and someone who studied there once told me, for example, the chemists also have to pay for all their chemicals. In Dresden, we didn't have that. We basically got those given to us. They were paid by the university. So in the end, they were basically paid by the government, by the taxpayers. They gave us our chemicals, not directly, but that's how everything got paid for. Um, what else did we have? Yeah, we had to buy every glass stuff we broke. So you had your laboratory place, like your table and stuff, where you had all your things. For example, you had a bunch of test tubes and those water coolers you needed for distillations and some vials and stuff, so you could work. And you had to have the same amount of glass in your of glass objects of intact glass objects at the end of the term. So whatever you broke, you had to pay, or you had to steal it, which was why you should definitely keep an eye on your lab stuff, because if somebody broke something expensive, he was often more likely to just nick it from his neighbor than to actually buy a new one. And that was kind of annoying. I mean, I understand it, but it's still kind of annoying if people do that, because then you have to either get it from your neighbor, or you have to get it back from that person if you can track down who it was, or you have to do something else. I mean, often, especially later on, you share the same hood, and by hood I mean I don't mean like the neighborhood or something. I mean the thing in the laboratory that basically has its own air supply. Or it doesn't have its own, but it has its own air circulation. So the stuff you do in there don't spread into the lab. So if you have an experiment that produces very, very bad smelling or even toxic gases, then you go to the hood and you do it in there so it doesn't kill everybody in the lab, including yourself, which is always kind of desirable. Anyway, you basically share the same, or your places are just very, very close to each other, or you even borrow something out. Like if you have a very extraordinary uh, device you have to make, or if you maybe they do two things at the same time and you don't need one of your coolers, then you would borrow them one, and you just have to make sure it finds its way back. And at the end of the semester, we were all checking our stuff and we were looking what we have like more than we needed and what we could give away, because there was no point in having like three things when another one only has one, and maybe you just got their stuff accidentally. Like you packed all your stuff in, or everything that was lying on your table, and maybe they put theirs on your table as well, and so on. And it was a bit confusing, but all in all, we even had some fun there. Yeah, I don't like to admit it, but even I had fun in organic chemistry. That was the laboratory part, not the theory part. The theory part just sucked. The theory part in organic chemistry is a lot of studying. You basically spend pretty much all your time in the fourth semester in chemistry, at least here, learning organic chemistry. You have to learn like the exact mechanisms, like which bond goes where, which electron goes where, what does that do, how is that connected to this, and there are lots of named reactions that you basically try to do in the lab. So they give you a certain substance and tell you, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do it like that, and you have to check up. You have to pass a short test before you are allowed to do it. Even though it's pretty much like you have a book that has all those recipes. I'm just calling them recipes, all the instructions on how to do this and how to get this done. And it's basically like a cookbook. It just gives, yeah, you use zero point 0.3 millimole of that and zero point 0.4 millimole of that. Put it together in a 100 milliliter beaker or bulb. You usually use a bulb because you have to boil it. And then stir it for 5 hours at 200 degrees. Or actually, you wouldn't go to 200, but maybe 110 or something. And then you filter it and wash it and recrystallize it and everything. So it's not like you needed that knowledge, but they wanted you to have that knowledge for whatever reason, because it was good for the exams as well. But you had to study, and those were really no fun. At least I didn't enjoy that a single bit, because you also have those. I don't know. They are just so. They seem so needlessly complex, and it's just really no fun to learn them. At least it wasn't for me. I suppose some people actually enjoyed it. I didn't. And I was totally glad when I ended up changing courses that I never had to do organic chemistry ever again. I never had to take that. I wouldn't have to learn those mechanisms, at least I hope so. Might still have to do it for some project or assignment or even a thesis at some point. I mean, I'm going to write another thesis. I do have to write a master thesis at some point. And due to my prior exposure to chemistry, it might actually deal with quite a lot of chemistry, or it might be solidly based in chemistry. I mean, that's how I got my bachelor thesis topic as well, because the my supervisor just said, okay, yeah, you studied chemistry before. I have a topic that requires a certain base knowledge. So it requires a certain, yeah, just a certain knowledge that you have and that many others in the course don't. So I would like to give you this topic. And of course, I accepted that because I had that knowledge. I wouldn't have to like read up on everything, and it worked in my favor. It really did. Even though the thesis has led to one of the most embarrassing moments in my academic career so far, and I'm going to share that with you because why the hell not? I suppose you deserve it. I mean, you've sat through 174 episodes. This is the 175th episode, if memory serves. So you deserve the most embarrassing moment of my academic career. It was basically when I did my thesis, and you do have to defend the thesis. So you have to be there. You have to look fancy. You have to actually come in a suit, which is annoying because I hate my suit. And you have to explain what you did, why you did that, what what you found out, basically. So you have to give a presentation about your work or your thesis. And I did that, and it's kind of important because it has a large impact on your grade. So if you mess that up, if you have a great thesis and you mess up the defense, then you will still end up with a bad mark, with a bad grade. It doesn't matter because nobody will ever care about my bachelor degree anymore. They won't care for the results I had here. Shut the hell up. Go outside. But later on, that can mess you up quite badly. And in order to prepare for it, my supervisor actually suggested a mock defense. So she would gather the people that would be around to grade the defense itself, and I just do a defense, or I just practice my presentation basically. And I agreed because that's quite a great chance. Shut down up. And I overslept. The thing is, it was in the institute, which is about 30 kilometers from my apartment. It takes about an hour to get there, or 40 minutes if I. No, let's say 50, because I have to get to the train station and I have to catch a train right on. That is, if I arrived there and got into the train and the train started or went off right away. So about 50 minutes is the least, and then I have to use up another 15 to 20 minutes to get from the train station to the institute. So I was supposed to be there at 9 o'clock, and I didn't sleep that night. Well, I didn't sleep well. I wasn't excited about the defense, but I don't know, I just couldn't sleep, and I overslept. So I woke up at 9, or at 9:05. I looked at my phone and thought something that I should probably not say loudly here, because there might be young people watching, children. That's what I call nothing but that. Yeah, so I woke up and I realized I would not get to the institute in time. There was no chance I could do this. If I had managed it, I would probably be well advised to learn Swedish, because that's what you're supposed to talk to when you receive the Nobel Prize. Anyway, I wasn't there, unlike all the people in charge who were there and who. Why can't you kill a single bloody badger? And yeah, who were kind of expecting me there as well. So that was really embarrassing. And I mean, I immediately tried calling my supervisor so she could cancel it and people wouldn't have to wait all the time. But she was already in the room, it seems. So I tried to call her office because that was the only phone number I had. I tried to email her, but yeah, it kind of failed. And that was the most embarrassing moment in my academic career, because like they were there, they were all prepared, they were all maybe they were even looking forward to it, and I overslept. And I did set like 3 alarms, so that's what made it even worse. I mean, we did laugh about it after that, but it was still embarrassing to me at that moment. You can't believe that. It was embarrassing as hell. uh, and I wouldn't recommend that. So ever since then, for the actual defense, I told the roomie to wake me. I told my mom to call me. I told my grandma to call me. I set up 3 alarms, and I was up in time. It was actually quite fun because I might tell you that next. No, I'll do it now. I suppose the video is going up late anyway, so I'll just give you a bit more video. My actual defense was pretty smooth. I did my presentation the day before, as I usually do, which is something I actually feel like I need, because it allows me to just still have in memory what I want to say. So I know what's on the slides, I know what's on the presentation, and what comes where, and how it's structured and everything. And that helps a lot, because it is like additional practice. It's still fresh in memory, and you have less trouble remembering things, and you can just speak freely, which is something that I consider quite important if you do a presentation. And yeah, I think that it was scheduled for 10 o'clock in the institute, and I got my grandpa to drive me. So I asked him, and he agreed, because the train was not that reliable, and there was a problem because it was on the 13th of February, which is always a special date in Dresden. Dresden was bombed on the in World War II on the 13th of February in 1945. So there was always a big ruckus in town because you have the neo-Nazis who try to use it for their propaganda. You have politicians who try to use it for their propaganda, and basically everybody tries to capitalize on this date. You have those extremists from both sides because the ones try to utilize it, the others just want to beat the other guys up. So, of course, there is some trouble at the main station, and I had to bring a poster which was rolled up to be a long object, and I didn't want to take that through a whole lot of policemen. And I also wasn't sure that I would be able to catch the train in time and that the train wouldn't be delayed or that there wouldn't be something bad happening on the train. So I asked him to drive me, and I planned in like an hour to get to the to Pirna, to the institute. And he was there like an hour and a half before I planned, or an hour and a half before, like half an hour before I planned with him. So I was just standing under the shower, and no, I was just brushing my teeth. I took a shower, then I was brushing my teeth, and I was getting ready, and I thought, okay, I still have 30 minutes until he arrives, and then I have 1 hour to get to the institute, which is more than enough if you have a car. And then he called me like, yeah, I'm there right now, so you might want to get down here as quick as possible. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, and I was totally surprised because yeah, it was too early, and I grabbed everything. I grabbed my poster. I grabbed my presentation, which was important because you kind of need that if you are supposed to give a presentation. Um, I think I took my thesis as well for whatever. No, I didn't. I didn't need that, and I forgot the protocol sheet, which is just a sheet of paper, a document you get when you hand in your thesis. And they told me, yeah, you have to bring that when you defend it, and everything is fine. So we were in Pirna an hour early. I had to wait for a full hour before anyone arrived in the room, and I was getting slightly nervous. And then eventually it started, and I did quite well, as I can say so myself. I got a very good mark, so I can say I did well. And when it was over, my supervisor said, "Okay, now all we need is the protocol sheet, and you're out of here." And at that moment, it dawned on me, well, crap, that's the thing I forgot. I knew where it was, and it was still there when I checked. I also forgot my keys, so I had to call my roomie to basically go home, grab my key, drop them at the reception of her workplace, and so I could go there, fetch my key, go home, fetch the document, go back to the institute, hand it in, and be done with it. So it was chaotic, but it got all sorted out. My grandpa even drove me there and back a second time, which was pretty cool because it saved me another 2 hours or so of traveling. And yeah, that's how I defended my thesis. It was chaotic, but it was fun, and I think your defense is like one of the, I don't know, it's always a very important day, and it's something you have to do in order to understand it. But it's at least see one in order to understand how it feels. But it's definitely worth it. And with this rather unepic tale, I will cut this episode, and I'll see you all next time.